Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and today of course was the Spanish Grand Prix, and these are my thoughts on it. Was it a great race? Not really. It's one of the better Grand Prix from 2023 so far, but that's not really saying that much. The result was pretty much what you expected it to be. Qualifying was surprising because we had a few of the big names drop out early. Leclerc lost out in Q1, I believe for the first time in 4 years, which is actually a pretty impressive record. But he seemed to have genuine issues with his Ferrari. Perez and Russell in Q2. Again, they just didn't seem to have the ability to string a decent fast lap together. And so there were some surprise names in Q3, namely Hulkenberg and I think Tsunoda. I can't actually remember now. Norris was incredible, going up into third. Gasly did a great lap into fourth, but he was penalised. So that was the grid. And as it happened, the race kind of just worked itself out, and the people you expected to be up the front were up the front. Verstappen dominated this weekend. I don't think there was a single second anyone doubted he was going to win. He did everything pretty much perfectly and he won easily. We're only 7 races into this championship, but Max Verstappen already has a massive lead and I really don't see anyone stopping him. He's won 5 out of 7 races. He's finished second in the other 2. Red Bull have won all 7 races so far this year. No one really can seem to get close to him. And that's kind of a worry for the rest of the season because it's not particularly interesting to watch. And it's not like there's great fights all across the field. There's a few good battles in this one. Hulkenberg seemed to be in the thick of it a lot. He was fighting with Tsunoda and Guan Yu Zhou. And the battling was fine, but the only overtaking is DRS overtaking. They're getting down that straight, which was longer and faster because they've removed the chicane, and that was an improvement because you could never overtake at Catalonia before. But this, just because it's easier to overtake doesn't mean it's more exciting to watch. And I've said this before with DRS, the problem is, yes, you're getting overtakes, but you don't want easy overtakes. You want 2 cars going into the corner battling it out. You want cars to be close to each other and the drivers really having to show skill and talent and precision to get past. We don't want just flying past on DRS. It's far too easy. And that was why Perez and Russell were able to climb through the field. They've got good cars, they just didn't have a good qualifying. But once they've got DRS, they're able to pull through the field pretty easily. And the field was really strung out. So by the second half of the race, even DRS wasn't really helping anyone. Verstappen had something like a 24-second lead by the end of it. And Hamilton was like another 8 or 10 seconds ahead of Russell. And he was 8 to 10 seconds ahead of Perez, who was like 15 seconds ahead of Sainz, who was another 10 ahead of Stroll and Alonso. And it was just a waste of time. It wasn't exciting to watch. As I said, this was not the worst Grand Prix of the year, and I think that shows the quality of Formula 1 at the moment, in that you won't remember this race. In 2028, you're not going to be thinking, do you remember that great Spanish Grand Prix in 2023? What a battle that was. It's just another race. And Formula 1 really has this issue at the moment where there are no standout races. You're never going to look back at 2023 as a great classic year if this is the standard, because it's boring. And there's so many better race series out there. IndyCar, every race, exciting, lots of stuff happens, and you tend to get drama. World Endurance Championship at the moment, so many hypercars, they look great, the racing's really good. I know it depends if you don't mind sitting down for very long periods of time to watch entire races, because they're 6 to 8 hours long, the shorter ones. Of course, next week's race is 24 hours long. I don't think that many people actually watch every second of the 24 hours of Le Mans, but they watch enough of it to know that it's very exciting. This year's going to be a step above any Le Mans we've seen for a very long time. I can't wait for it, and to sit through a Formula 1 Grand Prix, which is a max 2 hours, and this one didn't have any stoppages, so it's probably close to an hour and a half. I would rather watch 24 hours of Le Mans than an hour and a half of Formula 1, because it'll be more exciting at any point. You could take any hour and a half from the World Endurance Championship and it'll be more exciting than Formula 1 right now. Formula 1 needs to change. It needs big changes. The calendar is a problem. Too many races, boring tracks, and just places we do not care about. I do not want to see racing in Bahrain and Qatar, and trying to think of somewhere outside the Middle East that I don't really like. Miami. I don't like the Miami track. It sucks. I'm not that impressed by the Dakota track either, to be honest. Mexico's okay, I guess. Monaco, does it fit on the calendar anymore? Not with these cars, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a showcase, but I can see it being dropped at some point if other tracks offer more money. I mean, Monaco doesn't pay anything, so I don't think it'd take much for the FIA to get rid of it. Honestly, the cars are wrong. The drivers, some of them have been around for far too long. Like, I know Fernando Alonso is having the best year of his life, but he's been in Formula 1 for 22 years, or most of 22 years. It's such a long time. Lewis Hamilton's been there far too long. Sergio Perez has been there far too long. I keep thinking Max Verstappen's one of the younger drivers, but even he's done, 8 or 9 seasons now? Is this his 8th or 9th season? I can't remember. I know he started very young, and he still is young. But he's experienced. In fact, most of the drivers on this grid are. Like, there's not that many new young drivers. You're talking Piastri, Zhou, Logan Sargent, Nick De Vries, and then who else? Who else is a young, inexperienced driver? I mean, Norris, maybe. He's only been there for, 5 or 6 seasons? But even then, he's not inexperienced at this point. Same with George Russell. They could do with younger drivers, major changes to the cars, change the calendar, and even then, I honestly don't know if it's salvageable at this point. People watch it because obviously you watch Formula 1. It's the pinnacle of motorsport. It's what every race driver wants to do. It's built as the best motorsport series, but in actuality, the races tend to be pretty dull. The championships, on the whole, are unexciting, except occasionally you get a few bits of drama. If that's what you're looking for, great, but if you want a really competitive sport, there are better motorsports out there. Watch IndyCar, watch Formula E, watch World Endurance Championship. There's loads. Honestly, you could take your pick. Even Formula 2 and Formula 3 tend to be more exciting than Formula 1. I honestly don't have a lot to say about the result. Mercedes, it didn't look good for them in practice, but they found pace from Q3 onwards. Qualifying was good for them. Well, no, it was good for Hamilton. It wasn't great for Russell. But the race was good for both Hamilton and Russell. Russell actually did a fantastic job getting up to 3rd. Perez sort of did some damage recovery, but I think his season's pretty much done. I don't think he's going to be championship contender. I think Red Bull will think about replacing him at some point. Sainz was in 5th, top Spaniard, which is the only prize he's going to claim this weekend. He did a very good job in qualifying as well, but Ferrari just don't seem to have any race pace. I know, it was just a really nothing performance from Sainz. He was there, but that was it. The Aston Martins behind him, lacking the pace they've shown all year. This was Alonso's worst result, which is a sign of how good his championship has been so far. But if this is where they are now, if they're going to drop back to the 4th best car, then any hope of finishing in the top 3 for him is going to be a struggle. Beyond that, it was really people you expect in the top 10, except for Guan Yu Zhou, who did a fantastic job to finish 9th. Honestly, one of his best drives. Tsunoda again drove brilliantly. Nick De Vries drove really well, but he didn't score any points. But it's still the best we've seen of him. In fact, the last couple of races, Nick De Vries has been a lot better. So hopefully that continues and he gets some points eventually. Everyone else, Williams pretty much absent. Didn't see much of Bottas. The Hasses dropped back in the race. They got better qualifying pace than they do race pace. Even then, Magnussen, I don't think got out of Q1. Yeah, I think just on the whole, this race just made me really sour on Formula 1. Especially as there was a lot of motorsport this weekend and I could have probably spent the time better. But I tune into Formula 1 every week, or every time it's on. In the future, it probably will be every week. But yeah, I don't know, it was average. I'm not saying, I mean, there's stuff was, I don't know, this was just an average race. I mean, if you haven't watched it, you can probably skip this one. Nothing will surprise you and nothing really happened. There's no real great moments that stand out to me. So yeah, that was the Spanish Grand Prix. Make sure you subscribe for more of this in-depth, detailed analysis. I'll be back at some point, so thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and have a good one.